Governor Roy Cooper and North Carolina's legislative leaders have reached a deal on reopening the state's public schools. Joining us with analysis is Dr. Terry Stoops. He is the director of the Center for Effective Education at the John Locke Foundation. And Terry, was this a deal that pretty much had to be made at this point?
It absolutely needed to be made, and this is really a win for families because families should really be the focus of any sort of educational effort. And when you recognize the harm done of having students outside of the classroom and the benefits to in-person instruction, I think it's absolutely critical that lawmakers and the governor would agree to a deal where students, at least most students, will have the opportunity and have the option for in-person instruction come early April.
There had been a political fight on this. The General Assembly tried to force the issue with Senate Bill 37. Governor Cooper vetoed that bill, and on an override vote, it came up one vote short. Why, shortly after that happened, were they able to come to some sort of deal?
Well, I think that the governor recognized that his veto was unpopular. I think he recognized that it was necessary to come to the table with the Republicans and hammer out a deal because parents are now more than ever pining to try to get their children back to in-person instruction, even if it's just for the last couple the last couple months of the school year. I think that there's a recognition by the Cooper administration of the necessity of in-person instruction for, especially for disadvantaged children, and for the need to ensure that there is something in place for students when they come back from spring break.
Based on what you know about the deal, how close is it to what would be the ideal for getting the kids back?
Well, it's definitely far from the ideal for students in grades 6 through 12, and a lot of that will depend on local school districts because they will have the option to choose between a Plan A, which is minimal social distancing, or Plan B, which is moderate social distancing for students in grades 6 through 12. So a lot of the outcomes resulting from this bill will depend on what school boards decide they want to do for their middle and high school students. I know that a lot of middle and high school students want to get back to normal as soon as possible, and that would be the Plan A. But it could very well be the case that school boards decide that they will not have those students come back in 4 or 5 days a week in sort of a normal schedule, and therefore opt for Plan B. And that is what we'll have to see over these next couple of weeks, what school boards decide to do.
Now, you referenced that because of the timeline, getting this bill passed over the next couple of days, and then basically about a 3-week delay between the bill being signed and it taking effect, this would really take effect about the beginning of April. Does that really give students much time to recoup what they've lost with this full calendar year basically being out of school?
No, I mean, this is going to be a years-long process to make sure that students are back up to grade level, and so it's going to require summer programs and programs into next school year. And I think that the legislature recognizes that that's the case. Where this really may benefit is in preparation for state tests. We know that the Biden administration is compelling all school districts and all states to administer their state tests this year, even though they won't, quote unquote, count towards their accountability systems. And so we're going to see state testing happen at the end of May, early June, and maybe even earlier in some districts. And so students will be able to be in in-person instruction and begin that test prep early. It may offset some of the deficiencies that we would otherwise see in test results, but that may be the biggest impact as we see test results that aren't as bad as they might otherwise be.
You mentioned that this is going to be a years-long process of trying to fix some of the problems created by the shutdowns. What over the last couple of months of the current school year would you hope to see that would put the schools back on a path toward getting where they need to be?
Well, we haven't seen many positive developments other than school districts deciding to get kids back into the classroom as soon as possible. I mean, the test scores that we've received regarding the fall semester were really disappointing, and I think that school districts are recognizing that that wasn't an anomaly, that students really are underperforming, and so getting them back in the classroom is absolutely necessary. The legislature is going to pass a summer program, but they need to do more to make sure that during the school year where there's some sort of tutoring program or supplemental educational services provided to students to make sure that the process continues.
As this all plays out, what's the implication for school choice?
Well, school choice has benefited from the shutdown of many schools where parents decided that they would rather send their child to a private school that offered in-person instruction rather than to a district school that had a erratic schedule that may have even been closed. So school choice definitely benefited, and not only private schools, but charter schools and homeschools. And I think we'll see those numbers when they're released in July reflect the fact that school choice has been a big win for parents this year. And the real question going forward is whether parents will continue to send their children to schools of choice even beyond this year, perhaps seeing that their child was able to thrive in a school of choice during this pandemic year in a way that they hadn't been able to in a district school previously.
Dr. Terry Stoops is the director of the Center for Effective Education at the John Locke Foundation. Terry, thanks so much.
Thank you.